Oh my god, do you know how hard it is to be celibate whilst OnlyFans is like going through the roof? The entrepreneur in me is like, baby, we really have to thank God that I'm celibate during this time, because otherwise I would have been in these internet streets working it. And it really got me to thinking, because obviously I have all this sexual energy that I'm not using, and I was like, damn, like if I was OnlyFans, what would I be doing? And I came up with it. So you ready? My OnlyFans page would be called Taji Titty Mahal. Stay with me now. And I'd 100% use the platform to extort white men for money. For £20, I'll rub your balls with chilies. Feel that burn, baby. Eat naan bread, eat ras malai. For like £50, I'll punch you in the face and bitch slap you. Or like, I don't know, like beat you with a snake if you're into that. And whilst I'm beating you, tell you facts about colonialism and the ongoing repercussions, the systematic oppressions and violence and rape that you put into India and 70% of the world. And then with that money, I'd fund policy changes, give free school meals to the kids that you just robbed it to, and just basically overthrow the white government. So that's my celibacy going. Love and light. Play the intro.
Hey, no, hey.
Ooh, prepare yourself. So essentially, you know about the first half of my celibacy journey. It was all beautiful. It was like, I need to detox. I feel like too much energy is in my space. I don't feel like myself. I need a fresh slate. Yeah, part 2 is much more frustrating than part 1, trust me. So it all started one afternoon in my grandmother's house at 2 o'clock in the afternoon when I was making tea, and I'm like stirring the spoon in this cup, like putting in the sugar, and like whilst I'm stirring it, I'm like, oh, imagine if this was a man's tongue. Like, how good would this, oh my god, you fucking freak, what are you doing? And I was like, you actually need to go and mingle. Like, that's not, yeah, you've reached your threshold, baby girl. You will go and mingle with society. And then even then, it's like I go upstairs and I'm like, yeah, I can date and not have sex. Because the thing is, I wasn't missing sex. I was missing like the intimacy and the flirtations and just the vibes with someone. Well, that's what my excuse was, because I was obviously like beginning to break, as you can tell. Oh, you know what the sign of beginning to break was? I knew I needed to go and like start dating. When I got to the point, I like, oh, there's so many layers to this. But essentially, I was like laying in bed, and the thing is, because I've been detoxing from porn, it was just literally like, no porn or the free shit you get on the internet no longer does it for me. I need to see my shit like a Quentin Tarantino film. I need it in like that 69 frame shot. I need 4K. I need to see the intimacy. I basically got, do you know how horny you have to be to actually consider buying porn? Like, you're in the middle of like getting to know yourself again, and you're like, oh shit, let me go and get my debit card. I was like, no. You need to get it together. You need to go and mingle, girl. This is a sad sight. So then I began mingling, which brings me to part 2 and the art of learning how to decline sex, because you basically have to learn how to be your own best friend. Yay! So full disclosure, before I started dating again, I knew I was in a solid place, right? I was like, I'm not in this space where I confuse other people's energies for mine. I'm not putting no waste man and his balls on a pedestal being like, oh my god, babe, like, thank god the detox has worked. And I'm like, okay, cool, like, I have a new version of intimacy. I want to get to know somebody, and let's go and play. And I still have the same mentality of, okay, my kitty cat is observing the street cats, but we're not leaving the house. So you self-discipline, you're growing up theoretically, so go and handle your ish. Yeah, it didn't work like that. It did not work like that. So within the first, I don't know, I suppose it's like if you let a crack addict out of rehab and then the crack addict just goes straight to the den. I don't know, it was really, really bad. I thought I'd be so much smoother in it. But the thing is, it's not like that. So the first cock up I made, and I'm superhuman, so I'll be honest about it. My new version of intimacy was basically like, I want to be with someone who is like my friend, and like you get on really well, and A, B, and C, and it's more of a homely vibe, and maybe not so vicious and chaotic as my Gemini self was previously doing. Guess what this dickhead does? I basically start talking to a male friend in a much more affectionate tone. Now, like the crackhead I am, we were talking for time, and it was all good, and I basically didn't disclose I was celibate because I was like really embarrassed about it, because I was like, it's really hard to explain, because people either assume like, oh, so you're on a marriage thing. It's like, no, you basically either look like you're holier than thou, you're trying to honey trap, thirst trap them into marriage. I don't know, it comes like some weird connotations, or like you're a forming sex addict, which I'm not. Well, I think I watch a normal amount of porn and think about sex as a normal person does. Yeah. So anyway, the first cock up happened. You know, when you're not celibate and you're dating and you're getting to know someone, it's real easy, right? You kind of know there's a dance. It's like, you know, we're going to text, we're going to go out on a couple of dates, and I don't know, after like whatever your date number is, I'm not doing big hits about myself, you can all get effed. You're like, cool, we're gonna get down to it. Now, you see, the thing is, when you're celibate and you don't tell man you're celibate, that situation gets very tacky. So we get to the night, right? We've been seeing each other for some while, and he's like, oh, cool, I'll drop you off tonight, blah, blah, blah. And I'm an idiot. What I should have done is said, oh, thank you so much. I'm feeling really tired. I'm gonna go upstairs and go to sleep. My dickhead self was like, oh my god, yeah, like, because I didn't want the date to end. I was like, you should come back tonight, we should chill out some more. I already know what you're thinking. Yes, I know what signals I gave off, but I didn't know I gave them off until it was too late, and then all of a sudden I was like, I've just chucked a fucking grenade, haven't I? So fast forward, it's like 1 a.m. in the morning, and obviously that particular man is getting a bit twitchy, and I'm just like, yeah, so I'm just like making more and more conversation, and then it basically escalated to the point where his mouth was on me, and then I just shouted, oh, I think my period's about to start. Yeah. Yep, I did that. Listen, no one is perfect, okay? So my first encounter of being celibate whilst dating didn't go particularly well. Still was celibate because nothing happened, but obviously the problem is all the things I learned about dating while celibate is, okay, one, you've got to work out where you're going to put that sexual tension. Two, you're going to have to be a big woman and tell them what you're on, because obviously that situation occurred because I wasn't being honest, and then I was still not being honest and lied about my period starting, and he was like, oh, to be fair, he responded with, that's okay, I enjoy ketchup, and I was like, now this is definitely not a thing, and you have to leave now, sir. But shout out to those people who eat out when your girl's on her marinara sauce, when she's on her like red chutney thing. I suppose that's a caring act. It's just not for me. Moving on. So yeah, I was like, okay, cool. We gotta go back to the drawing board, put on our big girl pants, and work out how to handle being celibate and dating like a grown woman. So here are some things I learned and what I do whilst addressing the sexual tension and not fucking giving it, because it's super, super hard. And oh yeah, pun intended, it's super, super hard. Now, a question I get asked a lot is, okay, cool, how do you break it to them? I personally decided to do a YouTube series so the whole world could know I'm celibate. So therefore, no man could ever cuss me out or try and think dodgy. You know where I stand. No, but all jokes aside, so I came from a place where I didn't like to say anything because it made me, sex was naturally becoming more of a big deal to me and more of an intimate act. So I didn't want to tell people because I felt immensely vulnerable. But I was like, no, like, you know what, when you're dating, you're getting to know someone and like you're relearning and re-understanding what it is to be intimate with someone, if you can't tell them like, I don't know, just your shit as honestly as possible, it probably is not for you. So I'm quite a blunt person. I love to tell you it was like some metaphor, some sexy, like it be like, do you know, in my head, I think people always think with me, it's one of those things where it's like I'm dating someone, there's a lot of sexual tension, and it's just like, you know, you're getting down to it, you're making out, and it's just like, you know what, like, this is sexy, but we can make it sexier. Like, let me tease you, let me like blah blah blah. No, like that's what I thought I was gonna do, like just, you know, make them be like, you can wait, tease them, punishment. No, no, no. Like, I wish that was the case. I fully just midway through conversation just be like, oh, so you know, like, so yeah, fun fact, I'm celibate. And it'd be like, I would love to tell you no one reacts, but any guy that I've dated or like spoken to as of late, it's always just like, and I'm just like, yes. The thing is, it's always so weird to tell someone who's celibate because it gets real tense, right? Because I just feel like thus far when I've told a guy, it literally just like, it either becomes like a weird, I don't know, like they feel like they have to like get it, if that makes sense. Like they're like, oh, so like she's not giving it to anyone, but like it could be me, and it's like, no, it's not even that. Like, in all honesty, like at this point the next person I speak with, it kind of feels like Ghostbusters, like, who you gonna fuck, who you gonna fuck, not a waste man, that is for sure. So yeah, I just tend to tell them straight up. I'll be like, hey, like, and this is if I like them. Obviously, I don't really feel like you've got to tell someone you're celibate if it really doesn't concern them. Oh, that's more awkward when guys who think they had a chance of like getting laid and they're like, oh, so how, like, you know, how long are you looking to do this for? I'm like, sir, this really doesn't concern you. You weren't going to be around for this particular event to be finished with, so you can go ahead. Don't worry about it. My sweetheart, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Wanker. No, but all jokes aside, when you have all that sexual tension and you're getting to know someone, you need to know what to do with it. So I have become queen of like fun activities. Because this is the thing, like, before, when you're dating and sex is on the agenda, it sounds really, really bad, but like it's just a dance until then. It's like, okay, cool, like, you're nice, I'm nice, but this is nothing serious or exclusive until I know, like, try before you buy. And then it's like, oh, actually, now we flip reverse that. I'm not serious or getting to know you until I know everything about you, and then that's icing on the cake. Kind of. Oh, it's icing on my cake. Yeah, this is the thing about being celibate. I really have so many more sex jokes and sexual thoughts than ever. I don't know if it's been productive or counterproductive, but I feel better. I feel better. I do. So these are the kind of things I do to kind of deal with that sexual tension and relearn intimacy. So one, chat and jokes is everything. So I'm such a humor person, and the thing I think I worked out really quick is with a guy who I can laugh a lot with, talk a lot with, that for me kind of builds as much sexual tension as actually having a CX dance. And oh, I got something on my, sorry about that, my titty popped out of my top, so I had to cut it. We love just filming straight with no breaks. But yeah, so one was based on a lot of chat. Like, obviously we're not having sex, so I'm gonna need to know everything about you, but effortlessly. This is the thing. So I think because I know I'm not gonna have sex, there's more time to get to know them and their character, and there's no like sneaky surprises. Because in all honesty, right, you're basically you're giving them more time to turn you off. And it's just like, you'd be so surprised. People think like me dating, being celibate, it must be half the time you just been like, oh, I really wish I could, like I'm dying to. Honestly, not really, because you have that space to realize this person is just not, this person is nice, but this is not the person I want to break my long ass marathon of me and hand time for. Like, you don't seem better than my hand. I'm lying. You don't seem better than my selection of toys. It's like Toy Story, but the grown-up version. There's so many people on the internet who can be deeply uncomfortable, but whatever. You're grown up. You'll get over it. So yeah. And then another thing was, besides talk, because we're in a pandemic, it's not like I'm going on dates and being like, it's harder. But there's so many sexual puns in this video, but Christ. But yeah, so a lot of it revolved around like, okay, what's their humour like? What's the conversation like? Is it effortlessly flowing? Are we not on the same page? Because not all big and serious, but it's like, does this come naturally? And like, is there a natural alchemy between us? And when you have time to like look at that and go through that, it's really funny how many people become not okay to have sex with. It's just like, I'm gonna sit this one out. And the thing is, because I'm now like so much more open about being celibate and like what it is for me, it makes some people so anti. So this is the thing I worked out. If I'm like getting to know someone, and again, I'm not very good at being vulnerable or like rejecting people. I'm not rejecting them. I'm just not very good at hurting people's feelings. Like, I don't like to. Okay, I'm a huge softie. I'm not really into it like that. But I slowly disappear. And usually no one ever cares. But now when guys know I'm celibate and I like low-key start to disappear, they naturally assume I must have fucked someone else, and they get so aggy. And I'm like, they're like, where were you? What are you doing? And I'm like, I mean, it's a pandemic, it's a lockdown. I'm in my ugly ass PJs binge watching Netflix. What are you up to? And it's just literally like, it's like having extra police. It's not the lifestyle I want to live. So yeah. And then what else? So that's the art of declining sex. You basically just tell them you're celibate. You spend more time getting to know them, which kind of low-key turns you off, because now you're really getting to know who you're sleeping with. And it's just like an ongoing saga. So yeah, that's the art of declining sex. Just to get to know somebody and they will naturally turn you off. This video didn't go how I planned. Let me come back to you. There's some sweetness in this. I know you replace sex for other things, essentially. So I'm not gonna lie, I get so much pleasure out of like when there's intense eye contact and it's they're patient with you and they understand and they don't push your boundaries, and there's like this building up of tension and acceptance and consideration, which ultimately I think it makes it 10 times hotter, if I'm honest, because it's like, okay, whilst I'm declining sex in the first instance, and you know it's not something that's going to happen, well, there's not a time limit on it, it's just when I'm ready to have it again. The man who accepts that and embraces other sides of me and is like central through how he cares for you and just, oh, me, it becomes so much more sexier. I'm not gonna lie, like being celibate is like low-key very, very sexual, because it's like you become so much more aware of your energy and you become very aware who that energy does well with and who it doesn't do well with. And when it does really well with someone, then it's like, I said, like, I'm not having sex, but it doesn't mean you're not sexting, and it definitely doesn't mean you're not fantasizing. And as a Gemini, I love the mental stimulation. So I feel like the sweetness in it is you relearn your intimacy, you realign with better people, and it's just, it's a vibe. 10 out of 10 would recommend if you can stay productive and busy. And hopefully you have enough money to have toys, because I don't suggest anybody go without anything for a long amount of time. You may malfunction. You know, like when your boiler breaks down and then like there's no water going through the pipes and the heat's off in the house for like a week or two, and then like when you put the heats back on and it's like a sound, Don't do that to your vagina. But other than that, it's sweet. That's my bittersweet dose. Bye.
Hey, no, 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 hey.
Mother Mary of Joseph and Jesus. Guess whose video died? Video? Camera. Guess whose cameras died? Was filming, but it doesn't matter. What I want you to do after that very sexy insight on what it is to be celibate, I want you to spank, hit whatever turns you on, that like button, subscribe button, okay? See you soon. Bye. We'll catch me on my OnlyFans page, because honestly I thought that OnlyFans idea was lit, so might change platforms.
Hey, no, no, no.